Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? New Orleans Saints open up training camp here in just a couple days. Great opportunity to catch up with Mike Triplett from NewOrleans.Football. How are you, man?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I guess maybe the one tense moment of the offseason was whether or not they'd get the deal done with Tyler Shough. I guess it's, the deadline really is the start of camp, and they got it done. Any surprises?
No, with that contract negotiation or surprise in general? No, it could have become awkward if guys drafted in front of him didn't get fully guaranteed deals, and then he wanted a fully guaranteed deal. But as it turned out, everyone in front of him got fully guaranteed. So the Saints' decision was a no-brainer, and there ended up being no tough decisions whatsoever in that, and it got done in plenty of time. So that all ended up being a non-story. And frankly, even, I've seen some takes that, they fully guaranteed it. That means they're committed to him. It was going to be 95% guaranteed if it wasn't 100% guaranteed. So it doesn't change their level of commitment to him. The commitment was drafting him 40th overall.
Yeah. It all ties in together. The money itself, you mentioned, if it was going to be 92% guaranteed or whatever it was going to be, roughly $1 million difference had he gotten that or the fully guaranteed deal. Do you look at any part of this contract as potentially being salary cap impactful at any point during the 4-year deal?
No, the only thing is now you can obviously never walk away from it without having to pay him every dollar. But he's going to play 4 years for $10 million. It's the same as Kool-Aid McKinstry's deal. It's the same as Isaiah Foskey's deal, except for the natural inflation of every year. So we could see them walk away from Isaiah Foskey next year. If he doesn't live up to his deal, we could see them walk away from Tyler Shough. If he doesn't, no harm, no foul. What you would much rather have, though, is the guy making $10 million for 4 years and being your starting quarterback at the same time. It's the best possible cheat code in sports.
That's Russell Wilson being a third-round draft pick and making a couple of Super Bowls. Mike Triplett's with us. Another transaction over the weekend was they added Jonathan Bullard on the defensive line. Any reaction to the player or the decision to add another defensive lineman?
Yeah, look, he's a pretty ordinary player that kind of, does the dirty work and doesn't get a lot of attention for it. But he's going into his 10th year in the league, and he began his career playing for Brandon Staley with the Chicago Bears. The reaction is just that they did it at all. I already considered that their most overcrowded position group. We had 53-man roster projections to do. Obviously they're transitioning to a 3-4 defense, but first thing they did was trade for Davon Godchaux to be their nose tackle on the first day of free agency. And then very early in the draft, they drafted an interior lineman in Vernon Broughton. We know Brian Brzez's not going anywhere. They've now signed Jonah Williams and Jonathan Bullard as veteran, experienced free agents. And they still had Nathan Shepard, Colin Saunders, John Ridgway, and Christian Boyd from the previous team. There is not enough. 3 of those guys aren't going to make the roster. So I'm very, very interested to see who the odd man out will be.
You stole the words out of my mouth. Who is going to be the odd man out if you had to guess?
Well, it doesn't seem great for the guys who were here before. They're not the ones who signed them. They're not the ones who drafted them. They're changing their defensive scheme, and they're going after different players who presumably fit that scheme. So I think it'll be really difficult for John Ridgway and Christian Boyd, who they haven't invested much in. And the guys I'm most curious about is what does it mean for Colin Saunders and Nathan Shepard? Are they safe?
Yeah, Bo Davis, even from a short time at LSU, we learned he wants big, gigantic defensive linemen, and guys like Davon Godchaux, Bullard, they certainly fit the bill. Mike Triplett's with us, NewOrleans.Football. I'm interested to hear you say you thought defensive tackle was the most crowded position, because I'd probably peg that as tight end, where they've got 9 tight ends. Let me start. Do you have any update or any knowledge of Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau, their recovery from injury?
I should say defensive tackle, I would say, is the most crowded position of guys who have either been like drafted or started games in the league. But you're right. I mean, tight end has a lot of guys. They don't have a lot of proven guys though. So it's one of the more curious positions on the team for sure. I think Foster Moreau should be ready to go really soon. We saw him the entire time during OTAs and minicamp, working off to the side, getting involved in drills a little bit, sounded very optimistic about his recovery timetable. Taysom Hill, on the other hand, was kind of out of sight, out of mind until he showed up watching from the sidelines during minicamp. He's been doing most of his work and recovery back close to home. But, I mean, it was an indication that he's still part of this team and that he still plans to play and they still plan to have him back. But his timetable is a real mystery. So that position, until we see those guys back participating on a regular basis, is one of the most unproven positions on the roster for sure.
Would you take a look at Noah Fant?
I would, for sure I would. Not only because of what we just said about the tight ends and the injury question marks and the age, not to, Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill are both somewhat older guys. Taysom Hill obviously older than Foster, but they're both heading into the final years of their deal. So Noah Fant's younger, but he's also a big pass catcher. And I think we've agreed for a long time that big pass catcher is one of the positions that they didn't fill this offseason.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Mike, as they push off the dock for training camp here in about 48 hours, everyone's going to be watching quarterback. But is there anything else as far as camp storylines that you think should be, if not at the top of the marquee, maybe, 1A, 1B?
Yeah, look, the story I wrote, the last story I wrote last week was I'm watching 2025, but I'm watching it with an eye toward 2027. Like that, everything that matters most to me is, can this be the start of a 3-year plan? And obviously that includes Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley and the staff. Like, I want to see how they run a team, how they run things differently, how they reshape the culture and the energy around here. But then I turn to Kelvin Banks and Tali Fawaga, and I turn to Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I turn to the younger players that need to become the foundation of this team. I think Chris Olave is a huge one. I don't know if we'll learn anything about him in camp, but, if he can get past this concussion issue, and hopefully it was just a bad luck and a bad string, he becomes the best asset they have for now and the future. So to me, it's everyone that can be a part of a 3-year plan.
NewOrleans.Football, of course, on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Mike, I know they're going to split camp where they do a little bit of time out in L.A. You've gone to Greenbrier, you've gone to L.A., you've seen New Orleans. I know you were at the beginning of the Peyton era when they were in Mississippi. You have any strong feel one way or another about where they have these practices?
Look, there is great reason to be in certain climates. I mean, when they were in West Virginia, when they were in California, when they were in Oxnard, you just get an incredible amount of snaps in. And it's a team that needs to teach everybody the offense, teach everybody the defense, get a lot of snaps in. So I'm all for that. I mean, if a coach believes in that, get your work done. It's great when the fans can see it. It's great, I guess, to get acclimated to the hot weather and toughen up. But, get the work done that you need to get done. But I've never liked when they've gone for too long. Like, 2 weeks, 1 week, 10 days. I like that. Like, if I'm going to go away to training camp, I'm coming home before the first preseason game. I think they were away for a long time last year. You can't argue that they were ready for the season, though. They came out like gangbusters at the beginning of the season last year. But that would be my take on it. So this is probably a pretty good mix. Be home, be in front of the fans, have all your facilities around, but also break it up in the middle with 10 days in perfect weather.
10 days in perfect weather sounds really awesome right about now.
Yeah.
Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.Football. Always appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, be well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.